Welcome to Comfy Havoc number 2, y'all. So, I gotta do this because I've been watching a lot of guys going in at Professor, Doctor, whatever he wants to call himself, Umar Johnson. Alright? Now I'm gonna tell y'all, before all these guys jumped on this bandwagon, you can go and check my stuff first, because a couple of years ago he said some stuff that was unbecoming, which was before the COVID thing, which is what pissed me off, which is why I said that I would never support this dude. And I meant what I said when I said what I said, because he said some stuff, that was highly offensive to me, specifically. Alright, if you guys know my background, if you know who I am, if you don't, I'm about to lay this down for you right now. And by lay this down, I don't just mean this cell phone looking at these hot women who have nothing on my crush, ZZ, who's awesomely beautiful. Shout out to ZZ. Her poster's over there. Or, there you go. Maybe it's this way. There's a damn Z. It's 2 Z's in her name. It's her stage name. Her real name starts with a J. Anyway, let's move on. No offense, ZZ, because you're awesomely beautiful and I'm deadly in love with you. Anyway, moving on. Mr. Johnson has struck a couple of nerves with quite a few people about this bloody school that he's engaged in. But he struck a nerve with me about 2 years ago. And these words came out of his own mouth, and I can't find the video, and I don't need a lawsuit from some a-hole that hasn't really delivered. And I mean that respectfully, he hasn't really delivered. So there's a lot of people who are following him, and if they're following him, that means they're not following me, and they're not going to like me any more than the people who follow Trump that don't like me. Which is cool, I have no ill will against anybody who doesn't like me, because, face it, in a world of 3 million people, minus the people who sadly lost their lives to coronavirus, there's going to be some people who aren't going to like me. And if I don't accept that, then I need to go all the way back to kindergarten, which is where it all began. So, Mr. Johnson, let it be known that he's got this school coming. And it's going to be a great school. It's going to be a brilliant school to save young black youth. I'm not going to use the term African American. Understand that if you are African American, that means you immigrated from Africa to America and became an American citizen. If you're like me and you were born in America, your ass is black. Period. Black is not a bad word. Do not call me an African American. You call me black or you call me mixed. Do not call me chief, or you might have no teeth. I'll make a specific video about being called chief yet again. Alright, so Mr. Johnson had made this video, and he was talking about how the school is going to be this and that and awesome, and all black people, little black boys, little black girls. I think he's going to have a separate school for the girls, but a black school nevertheless. And then he smacked me in the face with the one thing that made me stop supporting him and start watching him a lot closer. And I'm so glad that what little bit of money I have, I didn't donate when he had that open option thing, because I had to save up money to donate to begin with, because as I said in other videos, the Army only pays me $281 a month. The bad news, at the time, the Army was only paying me $150 a month. You know how hard it is to stretch $150? It's very hard to stretch $150. So I have to stretch that, and I can't give you what I don't have. And no, I'm not begging anybody here on YouTube for money. That's not my shtick. I make these videos because they make me happy. I don't make these videos to get money. Although it would be nice if I had a sponsor. But other than that, I make these videos because they make me happy. I do kung fu movies because they make me happy, versus I'm more in it for the money. I'd love to have the money, but I'd rather be happy and poor than rich and sad. Or at least walk down that mediocre line of being a little bit of both. Bills are paid, house belongs to me, bills are paid. Everything else really is just like in the middle. You know, so I want to walk that thin line, but I know that my bills are paid and my worries are a minimum compared to the maximum that they are right now. Now, Mr. Johnson came out of his mouth with the one thing that you don't say to someone like me. See, my name is James Williams Jr. I am part Cherokee, I am part black, and I am part white. I am the hybrid of human society because I am cockaloid, mongoloid, and nagraloid. And I probably still didn't say any of those Lloyds right, which is why I posted another video about that somewhere earlier this month or last month or whatever. Anyway, I did post a video. So, being that I am part black, part white, and part Native American, and Native Americans are biologically Asian, I kind of felt like I got slapped in the face, kicked in the nuts, and then elbowed in the back. Because he says, if you are black and you are not married to a black woman, I really don't want your children coming to my school. And then he made another video appearance on The Breakfast Club where he said in front of someone who was also biracial that if you black and you dating Chinese women or you dating white women or Mexican women, you should be ashamed of yourself. And then somebody said, well, you can't help who you fall in love with. And this ignorant ass hat says, well, if you don't date them, you won't fall in love with them. But I guess he forgot the laws of attraction because some people are just not attracted to black women. In my case, I've had some very bad experiences with black women, and I've learned that staying away from them actually is better for me. No offense to any black women here that I just offended. So, I'm being honest. I've told you guys this story. If you go check some of my videos out, I'm sure you'll find it. Anyway, Mr. Johnson said that unless I marry a black woman, and she can't be a black woman with a perm, she has to be all natural. She has to have black wool hair, not straightened hair, not blow dried, not curled out, none of that. It can't be frizzy. She has to be a black woman with no specific hairdo other than one from Africa. And I'm like, dude, this is America. You'll be lucky if you find a black woman who does not have a perm or has her hair, the curling iron thing or the flat iron. I don't know what that shit's called. I'm a man. I don't use that shit. But if you find one of those women who are all natural, good luck, because 9 times out of 10, anybody born in America from 1955 to 1999, and even 2002, are probably going to be like me, which means they're going to be mixed or multicultural, which he also said in another video that they played on the show that I watched tonight, that he doesn't want people to be multicultural. But we got a problem here, because I'm multiracial, you know. 2 of my grandmothers on my father's side was Cherokee Indian. My grandmother on my mother's side is Cherokee and black, or just Cherokee. We're not sure. My grandfather on my mother's side was black and white. My father's father was black. So I have an equal amount of black and Cherokee and a tiny amount of white. And if you see my mama looks white. So we got a problem. Because Mr. Johnson doesn't like people like me in existence. That's what I took from that. And so he's talking about, well, if you don't date them, you won't be in love with them. Okay, one, you can't tell someone, just like the government couldn't tell the Loving family whose lady was black and the father was white. You can't tell them that they couldn't love each other. And they took that fight all the way to the Supreme Court so people like me can exist. Now let me explain this to you, because before he had said that, I was down with everything that Umar Johnson was spitting. I was down with empowering black people. I was down with raising black boys to not bully each other, not to do drugs, and to go for the highest level of education that they could get. And if a black man was pioneering the way Charles Xavier style, I was down with that. Sadly, Umar Johnson was not doing it Charles Xavier style. He was doing it Magneto style. And sadly, you know, eventually you'll find out in the comics that Magneto style is more closer to right than wrong, because you can't always have peace no matter what you do, and sometimes dominance is the only path. But I don't believe in Magneto's dream, and neither do a lot of other people. Now, eventually when the Sentinels go loose, no fate for what we make, you don't really have a choice but to go with the Zealot when it comes to your extinction. And then when the Sentinels decided, hey, let's kill all the humans, because humans have the ability to evolve into mutants. If we kill all the humans, it doesn't matter what they are. If they're a human, they have a chance of becoming something more. Because no one can identify the mutant gene from birth unless your name is Charles Xavier and you have cerebro. And some mutants don't even mutate until well into their 20s or 30s. Because mutants are supposed to mutate at puberty. I know you're thinking, what does this have to do with Umar Johnson? Let me spin that back around for you. So he says he won't hire teachers who are not of color. So if you're an Asian, you might get a job. And the only reason that you would get a job if you were Asian or if you were white would be because of discrimination laws. He said if you have a child, your mother is Asian and your daddy is black, only your daddy can come pick you up from his school. And he's like, teachers who are not black, don't have the black experience, can't teach black kids about the black experience. Well, hell, son, I'm a couple of years older than you, if not a year or so older than you. Some white teachers actually can teach you a black experience way better than some of the black teachers, because some of the black teachers grew up in places where there was not a lot of racism. There was rarely the N-word ever chosen. But, I guess if you're going to run a school, you might want to think that you know everything. Even if you don't know everything, it doesn't hurt to have some knowledge of your history, because just in case you all forgot, there isn't an ethnicity on this planet that didn't have slavery. Yes, they had white slaves too. When they came to America, it was called indentured servitude. Yes, do your history, you can check that off. Native Americans had slaves. When they conquered other tribes and indoctrinated people into their tribe, they had slaves. There are no saints in ethnicities. Understand that if there's one asshole in a bunch, it reflects on all assholes in a bunch. There are racist blacks, racist whites, racist Asians. No matter how you slice it, those three primary races, Negroids, Caucasoids, and Mongoloids, there are racism in all of our races. I don't have the right to be a racist because I am Cherokee, I am black, and I am white. And I know for a fracking fact that I've been the victim of racism from all three different races. But to hear this man preached about how he's going to make school safer for black kids education is going to skyrocket. We're going to be the top dogs in education. Our math's going to improve, our English is going to improve, our history, our education in general is going to improve. But see, if you don't learn from history, you're bound to repeat it. And if you don't explain how other people's histories affect your history, then you're doomed from the get-go. And this is the thing that threw me away from Mr. Johnson. You, Mr. Williams, that's right, take a good look at me. My hair is naturally curly. It's never, ever, ever been like other black people's hair. Alright? It gets kinked out. It kinks up. But it doesn't look like other black people's hair. Let me explain this to you. This is not a perm, y'all. This is a few good months of Royal Crown. Now, I'm not going to lie. In my 20s, I permed my hair because people told me that perms help your hair grow. And they weren't lying because my ponytail was all the way down here. The side effect was alcoholic black people kept following me home thinking that I was a chick. Even though I was Roman Reigns the fuck out, they still thought I was a chick. And I couldn't figure out why. So, shaved off this, cut off this. A few years later, I'm in the army. So I'm going to show you guys my cat card real quick so that you can see. Got a little paint or something there. That's me bald. Yeah, see that? Yeah, that's me bald. You'll never see me like that again if I got anything to say about it. Unless there's like a bald cap that they can put on me. Because my hair being cut is not an option. Never an option. I'm growing it until I'm 50, maybe growing it until I decide not to grow it. But it's not all the way down to where I want it yet. So until it gets there, I'm going to keep growing it. Now, Mr. Johnson doesn't like people like me. My mom, who looks white, wouldn't be able to come pick up me from school because my mom could pass for a white woman. Hell, I've lost my mom in a crowd of white people twice. So, if I was a kid coming up now and this school was open for, say, my mom wouldn't be able to come and pick me up from school. Only my dad could pick me up. So what do we do if my dad's job doesn't let him get off to pick me up? Are you going to kidnap me? Are you going to keep me from going home? Is the school going to provide me with the bed and room? Or food and board? Or whatever the heck you call that crap? I mean, I'd like to know what's going to happen to me in my future because, you know, that's kind of a double negative. You know, because I would be, like, behooved to, like, to know where the hell I stand. You know, if I'm going to your school and you have to take care of me, it would probably be a good idea for my parents to know what can and can't be done. Understand how that works because it's a school for young black boys. Oh, I am black. Don't ever think that I deny my blackness. You know, and 9 times out of 10, I actually have to prove it versus my Native American side. You know. But here's the thing. If Mr. Johnson doesn't like people like me who exist, who have been existing for a very long time, granted the 70s was probably when we had the boom of interracial dating. And interracial dating in other countries has never been a big-ass problem like it is in America. So, I don't date black women. It's not a crime. I'm not attracted to black women. It's not their fault. It's mine. I'm not sexually attracted to black women. And there are very, very beautiful black women out here. They're just not for me. I'm attracted to Asian women, and Native American women, and Latin women, and a few white women. I love all women, but the fact of the matter is, if I have a choice of who I'm going to marry, I'm going to marry who I'm sexually attracted with and who I can deal with versus who society says I should deal with. Who Mr. Johnson says, well, if you don't marry a black woman with an afro and procreate with her because she understands your struggle, you and your child aren't really welcomed in my school. Now, Mr. Johnson, I got a little bit of advice for you. Before you decide who's a human being by mixed ethnicity and color and things, you might want to remember that all money is green regardless of what parent that child has. And if you want a successful school, open the son of a bitch up right now and fix as you go. I mean, COVID's a good time to get started virtually. So that's my advice for you. And number 2, don't judge a book by its color, brother. Just because a kid is mixed don't mean they can't get down and handle what you want to do. You want kids to come to your school. Maybe you ought to not be racist and allow all kids of color, not just black kids. Yeah, it could be your primary source of black kids, but some of us mixed kids, we like to learn a little bit of lessons too about one or another of our culture. But whatever you're going to do, hire all colors of teachers because everyone has something to contribute to everyone else's learning process. Thanks for watching. It's Kung Fu Havoc number 2. Be seeing you. If I can find the cursor.